Welcome back, everybody. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, if you want to support the channel, there is a link to my Patreon in the video description. If you prefer music, you can buy some of the music that I make with Ragdoll. That is also linked in the video description. Today's guitar, I'm using the Rubato Lassie guitar, which is made out of carbon fiber with a wonderful maple fingerboard. This thing is ridiculously light, ridiculously ergonomic. It is so nice to play. I've had it here for more than a couple of months now, and I've really been enjoying playing it, so I figured I would pull it out for this particular video. I'm playing the Axe FX3. Pretty much as always in these videos, I'm using the USA lead model, and I have it set up so that the higher I play on the neck, the more gain I get and the more delay I get. So on the low all that kind of stuff. So there's basically like no delay and way less gain down here, so you kind of have more clarity and articulation, and the higher you go, the more juice you get. So that's what I'm doing today with this particular guitar. I figured that would lead into the first question pretty well. If I had a signature guitar, what would it be like? You guys know I dig this guitar, and I was kind of gushing about it when I did the initial review video for it. You also know that that guitar behind me, my PRS SC245, is my favorite guitar ever. And I think if you could find a way to kind of combine the way that thing sounds and the way it goes chunk, chunk, chunk with the way this plays and the overall just kind of weight, which is so nice and light, and the construction. So yeah, maybe something like that. These mini humbuckers are really, really cool. I just wish you had the ability to swap in full-size humbuckers on this guitar, just cause that's what people like to do. So yeah, probably something in between there, maybe like a carbon fiber single cut, just because. There'd be no broken headstocks, there would be no truss rod adjustments needed, it would be a set and forget instrument, and I'm very much about set and forget. It would also probably have stainless steel frets as well. If it was an amp, well, I guess I had that cherry tone spec'd out pretty much to what I would want in one of my signature amplifiers. So you can go and buy the Cherrytone Molecular if you want to know what my idea of like the perfect modded Marshall is. And otherwise, I think it would just be, I mean, not a signature thing at all. I love the Axe FX, I love the FM3. They do more than anything I could ever want or dream of. So yeah, I don't need to stroke my ego with that one. Cliff did a pretty phenomenal job with those. Following on that question regarding the Axe FX3, using it as kind of the hub for your studio, and regarding latency, the latency on the Axe FX3 it's definitely sub 3 milliseconds. I want to say it's almost sub 2 milliseconds. It pretty much smokes anything out there that's a guitar processor that doubles up as an interface. So I would not worry about latency. Just make sure that it's kind of going to work for your workflow. I have a UAD Apollo Twin in here because I'm recording my voice at the moment. I do a lot of videos where I talk, and I record demos here with Ryan singing as well. So having the mic preamps, really, really handy in the Apollo. Likewise, their Unison plugins are phenomenal. That way I can run the Axe FX3 via SPDIF into the Apollo. The Axe FX essentially means I offload all my guitar processing over there, so I don't have to worry about using plugins or plugging in amps or anything like that. And it also gives me an extra set of, and actually an extra set of 3 inputs as well, which is very, very nice. So I wouldn't worry too much about the latency. It's pretty much better than anything else out there as a guitar processor. Just try to figure out if it's going to work for your workflow first. Let's talk about some other guitars. Have I ever played a Suhr Modern? Plenty of them. I went to New York in 2013 and I went to Sam Ash, and basically I was one of the few people in there. It must have been a weekday or something like that. And the attendant there, Gabe, I think, he basically let me play every Suhr in there, and it was pretty amazing. And I came very, very close to buying one of those fluoro moderns I don't know why I didn't. Normally, I'm one of those compulsive people who does those kind of things. So, yeah, maybe that's something I should have done because they are way, way more expensive now. The Aussie dollar is trash against the US dollar, but they're phenomenal guitars. Friend of the channel, Troy Nababan, has an amazing Koa Suhr with a roasted maple neck, and that thing is a wonderful instrument. You know, it's different to any of the wonderful instruments I have. It does its thing, and it does its thing very, very well. Troy and I have talked about this quite a bit, but yeah, Suhr just do incredible, incredible stuff. There was another guitar question here. I'm looking down. It wasn't about guitars. It was about guitar players and a few guitar players who came up. I did that John Norum inspired by 1 minute video thing about a week or two ago, and a lot of people were asking if I like Key Marcello. I do like Key. I think he's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. His instructional video is really, really good. He's got a cool kind of pentatonic fives thing, but I think I like the Europe songs with John a little bit more, and I like John's second solo album way more than any of the Europe stuff. I know that's kind of heresy in some parts, but Face the Truth is one of my favorite rock albums ever. It's so good. All right. So yeah, Key Marcello is great. You know, we all have our different preferences though, and I'm a 100,000% a John Norum guy. It's probably one of my biggest influences actually when I think about it. I talk about how much I like John Sykes and Paul Gilbert and George Lynch, but I should talk about John a lot more because that Face the Truth album was a huge one for me, not just as a guitar player, but kind of as a songwriter as well. Selective picking is the next question. The Tosin Abasi videos, if you haven't been watching those, go and check him out. His selective picking technique, which I was watching it and it kind of reminded me of the Nuno Betancourt thing that he does in, I think is it Peacemaker Die or something like that? One of those songs where he's kind of doing the... whatever that one is. But the selective picking thing is pretty cool. I've been playing around with it quite a bit. And one thing I would suggest, because Tosin is Tosin and he's amazing, would be breaking it down to slightly simpler things. So the latest video that he put up, you know, he's kind of doing this thing like this. I just doing something like that. So you're playing 3 notes on the B string, down, up, down, and then you're hammering on 7 on the B, 8 on the G, 9 on the D. So you're outlining a B major triad. That's kind of the one I've been doing a lot of work on anyway, and that seems to be doing the trick. I thought it would be cool. Hopefully I can play this, but that kind of Nuno thing, if you cross it with the Tosin Abasi thing, you get something kind of... I don't know, that was the lick that made me feel like I was really, really clever. But that selective picking stuff is super, super cool. I would highly recommend anybody who wants a good technical challenge to check out some of that. Tosin is just amazing. He's continued to be amazing. There's a reason why he's probably right at the top of the most influential guitarists of the new century. And, you know, I totally agree with that. Love his stuff. All right, let's talk about some modeling and some fractal stuff. The Tom Scholz hyperspace effect. I'm pretty sure someone on the forum cracked that a while ago using an expression pedal. It probably has to do with turning up the delay feedback and manipulating the delay time at the same time. I'm pretty sure you could do that. And the other one was an FM3, like 5-minute tones ARTA series kind of thing. I have thought about that, and I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it because I think it would be cool to go, hey, here's how you can kind of sound like Eddie Van Halen. But, you know, I'm not confident saying that anything I dial in would be satisfactory enough for people who really, really, really want to nail classic tones. If you wanted that kind of stuff, go and get like the Austin Buddy presets or something like that for the FM3, which he's that's way more his wheelhouse, nailing those kind of vintage tones. If I put up a video and I say, hey, here's how you can sound like Jimmy Page in 5 minutes with the FM3, I kind of predict that 90% of the comments will be people saying it doesn't sound like that, because, I mean, I don't sound like Jimmy Page in any way. So that's the main reason I've kind of been put off it. Maybe a how not to sound like Jimmy Page, or a how not to sound like Eddie Van Halen. Use their kind of thing as a starting point and bounce off from there. Maybe that's a little bit more my style. The next question, if I remember correctly, yes, the little in the style of Polyphia video that I did early in the week, all that kind of stuff. Quite a few of you asked, did I really listen to Polyphia just once and then write that thing? I may have listened to them twice, I will admit. I will admit that little thing there, maybe twice. And the other thing that came up was that the drums were totally wrong. And in defense of that, yeah, it's like programming trap beats and hip hop beats is not really in my wheelhouse. I just kind of did and tried to put as many cliches as I could into that little piece. It was really, really fun. I've had that kicking around in my head for quite a while, and I just assumed it was a song by someone else. And when I realized it wasn't, I started putting it together, and I thought this could be a kind of funny little video. So to all the people who enjoyed that, I should probably develop that into a full tune at some point. But yeah, listened to them maybe twice and got the drums wrong, so don't hang me out to dry too much for that one. Little pieces of gear. What do I reckon about stuff? The new ML Sound Labs Mark V simulation. I have that. I'm going to do a video with it at some point in the next couple of days, so keep your eyes open for that one, because the Boogie Mark series, I mean, I'm playing the Fractal Mark series emulation at the moment, and I'm loving it, and I'm pretty excited to put that ML plugin through its paces, because I know Miko also loves the Mark series amps. Pretty cool stuff. Well, this is more like prediction, which I'm absolutely no good at. What do I look like, Nostradamus? What do I think the next Boss Pedals releases will be? I would like to see them do their RE20, the dual pedal, kind of do a Wazacraft version of that, maybe in a single space. That would be pretty awesome to have like a Roland Space Echo in a Boss size, like a traditional Boss size pedal. That would be cool. I mean, the obvious thing is I reckon they're probably, and when I say I reckon, this isn't because I talk to anybody at Boss. This is purely speculation, so take this with a grain of salt. But I would be very surprised, let's put it that way, if they didn't do an RV200, their reverb unit. That would be pretty cool. And it'd be interesting to see what else they do with the 200 series. Like a dual voice one would be cool, like a reverb and delay, or an EQ and a distortion or something like that would be pretty cool. Kind of take on those like two-in-one kind of pedals. That would be interesting. But other than that, I don't know, like Boss kind of, a lot of the time, just keep people happy with their pedals. There's never too many crazy surprises. I'm sure all of these things will come to pass at some point, because it's like a license to print money for them, I guess. There's a couple more questions, but I'm going to play a little bit more guitar. All right, this one comes from Jim, Solar Guitar Studios. I hope you're doing well. The Australian band, The Vines, I remember when they came out, when there was a kind of whole big like retro rock boom. We had in Australia like Wolfmother, you had Jet, feels like you had The Vines kind of come out and do this sort of Sex Pistols, Nirvana sort of thing. They had that song Ride, which I remember being everywhere at the time. Last question, this is about my PRS single cut, which means I should probably pick it up. And the question is, why this guitar and not an SC250 or a Tremonti or one of the earlier single cuts with the number 7 pickups? Why did I choose the 245? And this question made me think about that a little bit. And I kind of realized that I didn't choose this guitar chose me. If you've heard the story about it, I walked into a guitar center thinking I was going to buy a really fancy looking PRS. I totally ignored this guitar. I played all the other guitars in this store. None of them did it for me. And then I was like, oh, I missed that guitar. And I pulled it down and I went, yeah, this is a guitar for me. Kind of, put it through. I'm going to buy it. And the clerk was like, you want to like plug it in and make sure the electronics work? And I was like, well, it sounds this good acoustically. I know it's going to sound good. And then I plugged it in, and you know, that was kind of history, and it's pretty much been my favorite guitar ever since. That's not saying that I don't want to get my hands on a 250 and a Tremonti and like all the PRS guitars at some point. My little monitor's just turning off, which is indicating I've been waffling on for a long time. But yeah, this guitar just works for me, and I've kind of built my sound. Well, the sound I have with Ragdoll around this guitar, it's the guitar I use on every track on our Back to Zero album. It's the guitar that I use on the latest singles that we've done. I've played it live heaps, and I don't know, this guitar just kind of works for me. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to say to you all, have a great week. If you have any questions for next week, put them in the comments. Stay safe, be good to one another.